This is called pure togetherness. Women's rights are human rights. Thank you. Most important thing when doing a rally or protest, you never break the law, including the stoplights. Oops. No peace. No peace. No peace. Now.
Equal rights. Now.
No peace. No peace.
My choice. My choice. My choice. Equal rights. Now. Equal rights. Now. Equal rights. Now.
Woo! No peace. No peace. Woo!
We're not free.
We are not free. We are not free. We are not free. We are not free. We are not free. We are not free. We are not free. We are not free.
What do we want?
Equal rights.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Equal rights.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Equal rights.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Equal rights.
When do we want it?
Now.
And then just, everybody who turned up, everybody who marched, everybody who met us here, because you're all just as important to the cause, because we need people, we need to stand together. So I just wanted to say that before I started. And then I have something to read, so I'm going to read that. I'm pretty nervous. I haven't talked in front of a crowd since like my senior English class 2 years ago, and that was in front of like 15 people, so.
Rise up.
Woo! You got it!
Thank you. Rise up. Speak.
You got the wings. Now fly.
Be heard.
So this is an open letter to Governor Kevin Stitt, Senator James Lankford, the Oklahoma House of Representatives, the Oklahoma lawmakers, and anyone else in our government who currently claims to be pro-life. Now that Roe versus Wade has been overturned and a restrictive total ban on abortion has gone into place, when do you plan to increase funding to our state's welfare programs? How do you plan to support the influx of children that are going to need SNAP, WIC, and Sooner Care benefits to live? How do you plan to decrease the already incredibly high rate of youth homelessness within our state? In 2014, the American Institutes for Research ranked Oklahoma as one of the top 5 states with the highest number of homeless children in the nation. Do you remember the estimated number? 44,000. In 2014, an estimated 44,000 homeless children were living in our state. And because I know you're thinking about the foster care system right now and patting yourselves on the backs, you do realize how broken that system is, right? Have you read the DHS 2020 report detailing Oklahoma's child abuse and neglect statistics? Because I have. Between 2019 and June 2020, there were 15,911 substantiated cases of child neglect or abuse in our state. So how do you plan on rectifying this horrifying statistic? How do you plan on making the children in the state safer? When do the blueprints come out to show us your miraculous plan to fix the foster care system?
Yeah!
I heard you were pro-life, Governor Stitt. Is that right? So when does the Oklahoma State Legislature propose to sit down, have a reasonable discussion about common sense gun control, and begin reform on our current gun laws? I heard you were pro-life, so I have to ask, have you read the study published by The Lancet in 2021, where Oklahoma was declared the state with the highest police violence mortality rate? A mortality rate that disproportionately affects people of color. I heard you were pro-life, so when does the state plan to work to reduce the killings and violence perpetrated by law enforcement officers? And what about the transgender community? I know because life is so important to you, you must be doing something to protect their lives, right? Yeah. Senator Warren Hamilton, I heard you were pro-life. Is that why you're introducing a new bill, Bill 676, that if passed will make it a felony to provide gender-affirming medical treatment to anyone under the age of 21? Is that why you're introducing a bill that will oppress already marginalized youth, prevent them from receiving life-saving treatment options, and force them to endure an entire childhood of gender dysphoria that may ultimately lead to a rise in suicide cases? See, I have a question for Governor Kevin Stitt, Senator James Lankford, Senator Warren Hamilton, our Oklahoma House of Representatives, our Oklahoma lawmakers, and anyone else in our government who currently claims to be pro-life. My question is, if you're not attempting to address all of these issues, how the hell are you pro-life? Now I'll give you the answer. It's because you're not. You're pro-control, pro-God complex, pro-misogyny, pro-bigotry, pro-religious judgment, pro-hypocrisy, forced for the restriction of bodily autonomy, and furthering your own personal agendas.
Yeah.
I'm not redefining this term. I know the term was created as something for you to hide behind. I know the term was never meant to encompass anything more than what it does now. But I must point out how ridiculously misleading this name you call yourselves is. I have to point out this illogical belief that criminalizing safe abortions has somehow become the most important mission in protecting the sanctity of life on this planet. Listen to me when I say I've heard the rhetoric. I've heard every ugly detail of the pro-life argument. I grew up attending a very closed-minded church, and by the time I was 11 years old, I was being taken to conventions that taught abstinence instead of education, smeared LGBT people, and told horror stories about abortion.
Yep.
I've been handed the fake plastic fetus and made to cry in a church pew for imaginary lives that never had the chance to exist. But here's the thing. I grew up. I opened my mind. I educated myself. I read books and did research, and I did all of this on my own as a teenager. If I could do these things on my own at that age, you have no excuse for your ignorance.
Woo!
I have a suggestion for you, Governor Stitt. If you believe in protecting the sanctity of life so much, then you need some better ideas. Here's a good one. Stop signing bills into laws that will kill people. I cannot tell you how many individuals have recently told me that if they are to become pregnant and cannot have an abortion, they will end their own lives instead.
Yep.
I cannot stress enough that these restrictive abortion laws will kill people, grown, alive, fully conscious in the world's people. People who will be killed because of domestic abuse. People who will die by their own hands. People who will die because of these laws. With these restrictive abortion laws, who do you think you're saving? What do you think you're saving them for? A world that cannot protect them? A world where they will face abuse, neglect, homelessness, poverty, illness without affordable health care, gun scares in the classroom, violence perpetrated by men in uniforms, a declining global economy, a damaged earth that has been swallowed by our oceans, and an inevitable death caused by the system that claimed to want them alive. When I was 15 years old, I wrote a poem about the hopelessness I felt regarding the state of our world, knowing I would face all of these things before I even hit middle age. At this point, I had already heard we had a little more than a decade left to save our Earth, and I was already having nightmares about the future. In that poem, I wrote 2 lines that said, "We are too young to be this desperate. We are too late to do anything about it." This is the world. This is the mindset. This is the heartbreak that you believe you're saving an unborn, undeveloped organism for by prioritizing it over the person forced to carry it in their womb. The person who is already alive and living in this world. The person who is already facing all of these issues and more. If a person does not wish to bring a child into this world, they should not be forced to. If a person does not want to go through a pregnancy, they should not be forced to. That is the bottom line here. As human beings, we have a substantive right to our bodies and the autonomy we have over them. This is an essential, unconditional liberty. If you do not own yourself and have the ability to choose what happens to your body, you don't own anything at all. No other liberty survive without this one. We, the people, have recognized all of this. That is why we are here. That is why we are protesting, using our voices and calling for change. A change that our government is required under the oath to represent and protect its citizens to enact. We demand our government repeal the laws restricting abortion access now. To close out this letter, I want to quote another poem, this time by a man named Kyle Gaunt-Meir, where he wrote the following passage. "Someday we are going to live in a world that truly values life, where people have not just the choice to have or not have children, but the right to raise them in a community with all the resources and opportunities and freedom and justice and joy that they could ever need. Talk about life all you want, but I know who's fighting for that world, and I know who isn't." Thank you. Thank you.
Queen!
You are the future!
Thank you.
You are the future!
Strip away the rights and even basic human dignities from the women in his life. He is here today because he would like the other business and community leaders who may be afraid to speak out about the injustices going on in our state to see him do so now. So everybody give up for Lauren.
Let's go, Lawrence!
I am your cis male. I'm here because I'm angry and because I'm afraid. I'm angry because I've watched the people in this building whose names I know, whose offices that I have sat in, turn my children, turn my wife into people who don't even have the same rights that I do. How many people will have to be sacrificed on this theological altar of tyranny for them to be satisfied? And the answer is it never stops. I have seen them take away the rights of my children, put my trans male son's life in danger, and I'm afraid because we have to do it together. And there's nothing here that I can tell the people that you don't already know. There's no affirmation that you need. All I can say is that I love you, and I will fight with every fiber of my being for you to have the same body autonomy and belief that you are your own individual as I have. My appeal today is for the people that are going to be watching this on live streams and on cameras. The people that look like me, the business leaders, the thought leaders, some of the people that work in this building that privately message me and say, hey, I really agree with the stuff you put out there. I think the stuff that's happening is unjust, but now's not the time. I'm risking too much.
When is
Thanks
the
for
time?
saying it. And today I'm saying it's already too late.
Yep.
They've taken your daughters. They've taken your children. There's nothing left.
Yep.
You step up now, you step out with me and you say, no, this is not okay. Greg, it's not okay. Charles, the men that run those chambers. It's not okay, Kevin. This is not how this works. This is not the republic I was grown up to believe in.
Yep.
I was born in 73. This has been my reality, and it's not anymore. I don't want to be here, none of us do. But we have to, and we have to stay here. And I need those, candidly, I need the white, straight men that are too cowardly to stand out to do so, because we have the power! The women standing here will achieve nothing if we don't stand with them! Stand up, stop being cowards. There's nothing left to lose. We've lost our liberties. I fear for my wife. I fear for every woman here. And the only people that are going to stop that are people like me and people like you. Thank you.
Elizabeth Debo. So she goes by Debo, like from the movie Friday. She's currently a case manager working in the mental health, substance abuse, and housing field. She has been an activist since 1988 when she went to her first NOW movement, the National Organization for Women rally. Her passion is empowering and educating individuals on mental health and wellness and life skills. She's very passionate, energetic, outgoing, and unafraid to speak up for what she believes in. So everybody give it up for Elizabeth.
Thank you, guys. And let's give it up for our future right here that organized this rally. This is our future. Our future. This is who is going to change it for us, because we shouldn't even be here.
Yeah.
We should not even be here. She talked about children in foster care and abused. Do you know how many children that we have unhoused, unplaced in the foster care system in Oklahoma?
Too many.
Too frickin' many.
Yeah.
Too many. You know, it's kind of funny because James Madison, our fourth president, one of our founding fathers of our Constitution, warned us against the tyranny of the majority. Well, guess what happened in 2016? Thank you, President Trump, for organizing the tyranny of the majority, because now we have no rights. We do not live in a free world any longer, where I'm terrified to go out to frickin' 7-Eleven in my Pride shirt, wondering if something is going to happen to me. That is not okay.
Yep.
That is not okay. So some of the things that I wrote down that were really, really passionate for me was the freedom from religion. When we talk about First Amendment rights, we've got our freedom to protest, we have our freedom to speak, we also have our freedom of religion. Governor Stent's religion tells us that life begins at fertilization.
Boo!
That's not when life begins, right? So we're going to
Amen.
do the COVID thing. Let's follow some science. Is our zygote my human body or my human being? No, it's not. What about the religions that believe that life begins at first breath?
Yep.
What about the religion that says life begins at 12 to 14 weeks?
Yep.
So you're telling me, Governor Stent, that your religion trumps mine
Yep.
and trumps yours and yours.
Yep.
What? That's not freedom of religion. That's an overforce of government. And that is not correct. Yeah, Kevin, you're a douche. Because when we're like, hey, hey, ho, ho, Kevin Stent gotta go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Stephanie Bice got to go. Like, we need to flip our state blue. Because we need to have our rights back.
Yep.
This isn't about the abortions any longer. This isn't about our reproductive rights, is it? No. Because my sexual identity has nothing to do with reproductive rights.
Woo!
Birth control is not strictly used for birth control.
Woo!
Females, can I hear you? For the people louder in the back. Birth control is not strictly used for birth control. I'm a 53-year-old woman on birth control that does not have a working uterus any longer because my hormones are out of whack.
Yep.
Now you're going to tell me that I cannot have proper medical care because you don't want us to have birth control. You know what I was told in the 2nd grade by the Catholic Church while I'm sitting there with whoever else in the little thing with our little feet and our little bodies? You had to walk by and look at all the things, right?
Yep.
No. Totally forgot where I was going with that conversation, but, you know, that's the point. But, you know, it's the matter of this is my body, my choice, but it's also my health.
Yep.
Because I promise you, I'm not a woman you want to see off hormones. Just going to that now. And the aging women, just saying, right? So you banned abortion and you made them illegal, but you did not stop them.
Yep.
You stopped the safety of having legitimate, proper health care. A 10-year-old child should not be forced to have a baby because she was raped by a family member. A family member. They had to drive this baby out of state and then try to make it illegal to force to let her go out of state. A 10-year-old baby.
Your book doesn't mean my kid has to have a baby.
Absolutely.
Amen.
That is your religion, not mine.
Yeah.
Not mine. Governor Stent, your religion is not our religion. Forcing us to do things that we don't want to do, like have a baby.
Yep.
That is child abuse. Forcing somebody. Oh, wait a minute. Let me throw this out there while we're out there on a child abuse. How about just human abuse?
Yeah.
How about my poor people that I work with, my constituents that I work with on a daily basis that are out there holding up signs, please give me money for food, I need housing, or they're dancing around talking to themselves. Hold on. But I cannot get my mental health / substance abuse consumers help because we cannot force them to take medication.
Yeah.
We cannot force them to go inpatient. Why? Because they have rights. WTF. No. If I do not have the choice to carry a child or not, why can I not get my client help? Why can I not get mental health care for my client? Why cannot make them be on medication or at least give them a shot to settle down for a minute? Something, right? So, I'm so angry. I'm so angry. Here's the thing too, so it was brought up. Okay, great, we're gonna have 50 fucking bajillion kids running around, right? With parents who don't want these children. Foster homes, people don't want foster kids. They want babies.
I'm a planner.
Where are all of the things? I'm hungry. I don't even have the food that I like on the shelves anymore. The infant formula things are empty.
Yep.
They're banning other mothers from donating milk. That is not okay. But yet,
their breast milk, they're banning
you,
them from being able to sell it
anti-choice,
to another mother
are
and give it
telling
to-
me
give it to them.
what I can and cannot do.
Yeah. With their
When
own
we
breast
have
milk.
so many foster kids unplaced, we have so many kids in foster care that are being abused. They're not being taken care of. I heard a story where the foster child had to ask the foster mother if she could have water, and they said no. I said, that's not a choice. That's a necessity. Have some water. Part of when I start thinking about all of this stuff, it literally brings me to tears. But where is that funding? Let me ask you this. We didn't have that funding they took funding away from mental health. They took funding away from the schools. We had teachers marching from Tulsa to Oklahoma City to repair our schools, to repair our education. We have books in the school systems. I'm 53. You guys saw the same fucking book in your school.
Yeah.
But yet, Governor Stunt has put together this multi-person task force for our fucking rights. Where did that magical money appear from? But we can't fix schools. We have teachers on corners asking for school supplies.
Yep.
Where's that money? Where did that magically appear from?
Yep.
Absolutely not. This is not about abortion any longer. This is not about reproductive rights. This is about our human rights. You know, if somebody thanked me, I got a 5-second snippet on Channel 9 about the trans. Bet your butt. Because if you think you're safe, unless you assist old white gender man of birth, you got nothing. Nothing.
Yep.
Women, when I come by and I see cars that I don't recognize, you bet I'm gonna be who is that, what you doing? Because we don't know anymore. We don't know among us who they planted to come against us.
Yep.
You know, I told you guys before we even started, there are protesters that are going to protest us, and they will not be nice about it. And that is not right. Where are they? They're weak, but I'm not trying to challenge them because we are better than that.
Yep.
We are better than that because we have some class and dignity. We want to show respect.
Yep.
We want respect given to us as we want it to be given to other people. But I'll be damned if you're going to stand here and tell me that my beautiful 20-year-old host of this event, my future, your future, should have to be standing here doing this today.
Yep.
When I stood up in 1988 and I held up that now sign for pro-rights and pro-choice, I meant it.
Yeah.
And when they appointed Sandra Day O'Connor, the first female in the Supreme Court, I cried. Why? Don't even know. I was honored and I was proud. What has happened to that? Where has that gone? How is it that we can have lifelong sentences? SCOTUS. What does SCOTUS stand for? What do they mean? That is the highest court in the land. And they are appointed. They fucking lied. But yet it stands. But yet it stands. Why? 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 And nobody can answer this. Nobody can tell us why. Why do other states get to vote about their abortion rights in their state?
Yep.
And we don't? Why do women in Missouri have to damn near bleed to death with an ectopic pregnancy?
Yep.
Does everybody know what an ectopic pregnancy? Louder for those in the back.
Woo!
It is a non-viable pregnancy that will
Every
kill
time.
the mother.
Every single time.
And the child won't even survive. It's in the fallopian tube. Where's the medicine in this ruling? Where is it? Where is our safeguard?
Yep.
Where are our things, right? And so that's why we're here today, because we want our voice heard, and we want to be known. And we're not going to stop. Because if they think it stops at this, and then, oh, we're going to vote in the runoff, and we're going to go vote in the primaries, and then like, oh, they'll be done. No, we're not.
Woo!
We are not done by any stretch, because now they are coming against marriage equality, contraceptives. I'm sorry, but who in the frick tries to ban condoms in the middle of an AIDS epidemic that we're still battling?
Thank you.
Who does this? We have more STDs in our senior communities right now.
Yep.
But let's take away those condoms.
Mm-hmm.
Better not have that birth control you always go with that story. Best form of birth control, ask from between your knees. There you go. Doesn't matter keeping your legs shut. Yeah, put that ass from between your knees. You'll have no problems. I could go on forever and ever and ever.
How many times a man can impregnate a woman in the span of a year? Like, you can create thousands of babies in 1 year. A woman can get pregnant once, maybe twice if she's pushing it.
Yeah.
But we're controlled on.
Oh yeah, and the sodomy laws. Absolutely. Big and gay illegal. Let's get one thing straight. I'm not. Come after me. Come after me. What you got? Because I'm not scared. And I will not back down. These are my rights. I have human rights and I have civil rights. And my human rights, my civil rights, my religious rights, all damn near our freedom of speech has been violated. We've got cops all over the place. We got undercovers watching us that we have watched follow us. Why? Why? Because they're pussies. Hands off the pussy. Hands off the pussy. Don't touch the no-no box. But you know, part of this is keep your mitts off my lady bits. Keep your mitts off my lady bits, and we're cool. You know, leave my trans. I'm trying to make a T-shirt that says that. But if you think that you're not next, you're mistaken. If you are not doing your education, your research, looking stuff up, I have pages and pages and pages, and I'm so ADD that I'm like, oh, I got this notebook and trying to combine and prepare a speech. I'm like, no. That's right. It's all fun and games. That's right. Till it's your granddaughter, your daughter, your niece, your mistress, your wife, your mistresses. That's right. It's all fun and games. And one of them turns out pregnant, then what you gonna do?
I bet they can still buy condoms.
They won't have no condoms to buy. You done took them all away. Shoot. I'm so glad to be here. I'm super honored. I'm pretty much sure I shared all my things. I'm just really pissed that, and the Christians that are out there, if you don't think that you're being affected by this, you're mistaken. Because your governor is telling you, as a Christian, what you can and cannot do with your body. Your governor is telling you, Christians, what you can and cannot do with your body. While you're protesting that you're free. While you're protesting that you're pro-life. If you were pro-life, we would not have 1,500 homeless out here begging for money. If you were pro-life, I wouldn't have mental health and substance abuse people out on the street that I can't fucking get help. If you were pro-life, I wouldn't have a foster care system full of unplaced foster care kids. And then there's that breakthrough of the 16 to 24 age that seems to fall through those cracks. What are we doing about that? Pro-life, right? We're not pro-life. They're anti-choice. So, I am so grateful to be here. I'm super honored. I am so excited for this movement that this is an end. And I'm so glad and honored to be here with you guys because, again, we're next. We're next. Yep. You want to? Oh, okay. And here we are with our next speaker. Everybody give up for Elizabeth.
Thank you. Allison, are you out there?
Yeah, come on, girl.
All right, we're gonna have Allison speak for us. Let's see. So Allison is 29 years old. She's a survivor of sexual abuse and a fighter of long-term illness. She loves history and studying history. She's promised herself she would do what she can to stop history from repeating herself. So everyone, give it up for Allison. All right, it's been a hot minute since I've done a speech, so bear with me. All right. Okay.
So my name is Allison. I'm 29 years old. I have been a sexual assault survivor of many assaults, actually, from different men. And there has come a time that I had to face a possible abortion because I thought I was pregnant from an assault. I did not know who that father was because there was more than one man in that assault. So please tell me, please, I need to know, where is this safety? Where is the line going to be drawn? Because these women are going to have to face what I had to face. I had to face suicide. I had it all written out. I had my suicide note, I had my pills, and I said my goodbyes. Because I knew I was not going to be able to get an abortion. Because I was going to disgrace my family, and I was not about to do that. So I was going to end my own life. Now, that option's taken away from everybody. Because they decided to make it totally at fertilization. I'm sorry, but that's not at birth. I need my IUD. In February, that's going to be taken away from me and I'm going to get slapped with murder if I have it. And I need that because without it, I will not have a uterus. I bleed every month. And if I'm lucky, I get 1 week out of that month. So please, tell me, Governor Sitz, can I keep my uterus? Woo! Because this is unjust. And I will not be quiet about this. My voice has been silent. I have not got justice at all for anything. So now I'm going to fight for that justice for all. Because some women are scared to talk about this. I used to be ashamed. I used to hide out in those corners, in the dark alleyways of my life. Because I was so scared, because I was so ashamed of what happened to me. Castrate those men. Give us justice. Do something. Governor Sticks, please do something. Because this is not right. We need our rights. I cannot have a safe pregnancy anymore. If I decide to get pregnant, I have Lyme disease. I have EDS, which is a tissue construction malfunction of the DNA. So if I get pregnant, I can rip my uterus. So if I had to have that option to abort during pregnancy, I had it. I don't have that choice anymore. My choice of pregnancy got taken away from me. And I refuse. I refuse to allow that to happen to me and to anybody else. Because I might have even had to use IVF. And that's illegal now. Because they have to fertilize those eggs. And they do 10 eggs at a time. And the ones that aren't used are thrown away. That's IVF. That's the reality of it. And we are not going to be able to have that anymore. Women are not going to have that right to have a kid. Because our medical rights are being taken away and our justice. Where is it? Where's our justice? Because we need it. We are women. And we deserve every right as a man does. They're allowed their Viagra. Allow us our birth control. There is no difference.
They don't need it if we don't have birth control.
Impotence is
Impotence
God's
is God's will.
It's God's will, exactly. And then, yes, clip the dick. Yes, because this is our reality. This is 2022. Next year is not going to be any better. It's only going to get worse. They said they're not done. They are not done with us. They're going to want to know what happens in our bedrooms. Our privacies are taken away. Our doctors have to turn us in if there is any suspicion that a miscarriage was an abortion. They have to turn us in if we have an IUD. They can't protect us anymore. Our HIPAA laws are done. But the men?
Attorney General will.
Okay. Woo! Way to go, Attorney General! Because this is not right. And I've never anticipated this to happen. I've studied history. And I was like, thank goodness this happened. Thank goodness Roe versus Wade came in and we had that voice. They took that away, we're taking it right back.
We will not stand for this. I will not stand for this. Justice. Please. We need justice. Vote. That is the only way to make a difference. They might stack those votes, but you know what? We're gonna outrun those votes. And we're gonna win. We got a voice. If you aren't signed up to vote, please sign up to vote. This lady right over here has the paperwork. Sign up and vote. Because that is the only way we can get our justice back. It's the only way we can get our voice back. Vote them out. Because they're the ones who did this to us. We didn't get a say. We're going to make a voice heard. And we're going to have our say. Thank you.
Hey, if you guys aren't registered to vote, right here. Come register to vote. If you're not registered, lady in the orange glasses, all black, holding up the fake, please register.
Hi everybody, my name is Chase. I'm a trans man. I didn't prepare anything, but I wanted to speak briefly. And I'm very nervous, so please bear with me. Okay, apparently the stand doesn't work. I just want to ask everyone who's here to please remember us trans people that this affects too. There are trans men and non-binary men, or non-binary men, I'm sorry, nervous. There are trans men, there are non-binary and intersex people who this affects too. And that's just when it comes to the issue of whether or not we have access to legal abortion. There are trans women who are being affected by this too. There are so many people who are being affected by the horrible things that are happening in SCOTUS right now. I have a trans man that I care about very much who still has a fully functioning uterus and is terrified that something will happen against his will and he'll be forced to be pregnant and struggle with dysphoria and suicidal issues again because of being forced to carry another child against his will. SCOTUS is not done, guys. They have openly said that the next 3 things that they're going after once they reconvene next month is same-sex marriage, contraception, and sodomy laws. And I didn't know this until fairly recently, but sodomy actually means any type of sex or sexual act that is not missionary. So that means anyone who is any kind of queer or even kinky or any of that, they're going to come after you. They're going to make it so that if you are not straight and cis and submissive as a woman, or anyone who's not a cis man, then they'll come for you. Exactly. Everyone who doesn't fit their little bubble of what they think a family should be in their personal opinion from their old ass book from 2,000 years ago. I really think, guys, that people who are actively preparing for the apocalypse/rapture should probably not be running our government and making our laws. But the main reason that I had wanted to step up is because those of us who are not cis women are so often and so easily forgotten in this conversation, and we are just as terrified. And we're terrified to even come to places like this to fight for our rights because we're afraid that we won't be accepted because we aren't cis women.
We love you!
Thank you guys for that. Elizabeth here in green, she spoke to KOCO when we marched 2 weeks ago. And it was Channel 9, I'm sorry. Yeah, and so as soon as she uttered the word trans, the feed immediately cut off, and that was the end of the news report. Immediately. They don't want to acknowledge that there are people outside of their binary, outside of their cis and heteronormativity that exist. They want to pretend that we don't exist because it's inconvenient for them, for us to exist. They're making it so that the children are not allowed to acknowledge that they are queer in any way, or that they have family with 2 moms or 2 dads, or God forbid, 2 non-binary people. They teach us that abstinence only works and don't teach us anything else in sex education down here in the South. And then turn around and are shocked when we have teen pregnancy issues and won't give us any viable health care to help those children who this happens to. And then once they are forced to give birth, now that everything is the way that it is here, what happens to that child then? What happens? You have a child that is born to a family who can't handle having a child, or even just a single child having another child. If that child that gives birth even fucking survives, because I'm sorry, but a 10-year-old is not meant to give.
Today, because we need to talk about the attack that's happening on the people, we people, us people. We are being told what we can and cannot do with our bodies by disgusting men who are way too obsessed with what's happening in between our legs.
Yeah!
Black people are still being seen as targets with a red dot in between their eyebrows and being hunted by the people who are supposed to protect our streets. The reservation of our indigenous brothers and sisters are constantly being tampered with, as if the land that we stand on right now was not taken from their bloody hands.
Yeah!
But what we have to understand is that the power of the people is stronger than the people in power.
Woo!
If you think that we will be seen as equal to this man who sits in his office and looks down on us without fighting for it, you're wrong.
Yeah!
A world where I am told who I can and can't marry. A world where a random man has a say-so in what happens in between a person with a uterus and a doctor. Over my dead body. Over my dead body.
Yeah!
We have to continue to move together, move in masses. Yes, voting is so important. Everybody, please, everybody get registered to vote. We have people here who are helping you get registered to vote. Okay? But we have to go beyond that. We have to keep moving in masses. We have to keep marching. We have to remember why we're marching and who we're marching for. We have... Sorry, my mouth's a little dry. We have to remember... No, I'm okay. We are out here for the people who are too ill to afford the care that they need to walk with us. We are out here for the thousands of kids in foster care. We are out here for the 32 million Americans that are living in poverty due to a system that was set up for them to fail.
Yes!
When we march for our reproductive rights. We march for our people. We will march until the immigration policy is no longer set on racism,
Woo!
stereotypes, and hate. And we will march. We will march until our elected officials start living in fear of the people.
Yes! We will march till our feet bleed!
We will march until our feet bleed. We will march until our feet burn. We will march until we have to pick each other up.
Woo!
Because that's what we are supposed to be here doing. As a community, as a society. We pick each other up. We lean on each other. But most importantly, we have to take care of ourselves.
Yes!
person, I am a 2-time suicide attempt survivor.
Woo! Yeah!
We love you.
Yeah, perfect.
Yep, I've been there twice.
There was a series of months
I was this close. That was
where I would be
third
so
time since my
fucking frustrated that I
pregnancy.
opened my eyes in the morning.
It's so fun.
There would be times where my immune system was so crashed because I was so sad. I couldn't even walk. And I'll be damned if I can do anything about you guys feeling that way and if I don't do it. This is a crowd of love. This is a crowd of love. I want you to look to the person on both sides of you. Tell them that you're happy they're here today.
I'm so happy you're here.
Tell them that they're deserve
I'm
to
happy
be
you're
loved.
here.
And tell them that you are happy just that they got out of bed.
Thank you so much.
Because if nobody has told you today, I am proud of each and every one of you here. And each and every one of you have a purpose. And if you don't think you do,
I love y'all. Love you, Ray.
I love you.
Ray.
I love you.
I love you.
If you feel like you're failing, if you feel like you're not being productive, if you feel like you're wasting your life, I want you to recognize that today alone, you are in something that is going to change the world.
Woo!
That's all I have. Thank you, everybody, for coming. So much love.
Way to go, Ray! Love you!
We love you. We need you too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I don't know how to spell this name, and I really don't want to butcher it. Honokee. Is that you? Okay, so we're gonna hear from Hanoki Dunn Anderson. Hanoki Dunn is an indigenous actor, writer, and activist for human rights of all kinds. Their pronouns are they, them. They carry themselves with the strength and pride of their ancestors, and they'd like to give a land back acknowledgement, as well as share some words. Everyone give it up for Hanoki.
Halito, everyone. As you know, my name is Hanoki Dunn Anderson. I am enrolled with the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians. I'm also Creek, Seminole, and Cherokee and African descent. Before I begin, I would actually like to share a poem with all of you. Okay. It is called My Mother, My Nation. I love this land the same as I would love my mother. My mother, my nation, is as sweet and kind as a hummingbird kissing my cheek, her soft, earthy belly captivating me, holding me. Her hands have held mine when I learned to walk, the soft grass tickling my feet. She taught me to run, play, dance. She taught me to fly like the hawk who flies above the storm. The storm, her anger, her tears fill the riverbeds with more water so I can drink, so I can live. The crack of thunder, as strong as her will, her breath, the wind, keeps me alive. Her smell is my medicine. She is my medicine. She is my nation, my mother. Her maternal love warms me like gentle rays, droplets of sun. My nation trembles. Her softness becomes rigid. She stares intently. She tells me to hide. Quickly I run from the men in black robes and false promises of freedom. They smile and preach with their fingers crossed behind their backs. I see through their lies. My mother stands as a stone pillar against the breeze. She never bows nor bends. My mother, she is unruly in their eyes. They must stop her before she gets any ideas. They restrained my mother, tying her hands behind her back with false treaties, binding her legs with the braided hair from our native children buried in unmarked graves. Snakes wrap around her neck, bruising her skin. Her silent screams and bitter tears continue to haunt my mind. My mother, she's crying, red handprints all over her body, her eyes swollen and red. She looks at me, her mouth is covered with red hands, the same hands that promised to protect and love her. The same red hands holding her mouth shut, her lying on the bones of our children. Her body trembles. What have they done to you? This is freedom, they say. This is love. This is for your children. This is what's best for you. My nation stares at me, omniscient and all-knowing. I can almost hear her voice, a gentle, soothing sound of birds chirping or wind chimes singing. I hear her. You are the change, she says. You are the change. You are the hope. You are the future. My children, my nation, you are the future. Now, not to brag, but I wrote that. I wrote that as a way to kind of counteract all the fuckers in there who have the audacity to look their mothers, their sisters, their aunts, anyone with a uterus, that they have the audacity to look them in the eyes and tell them this is what's best for you. And that's the main reason why I wrote it. I also want to give some land back acknowledgement to Indigenous Americans, especially the Indigenous Americans here. And for the Indigenous Americans who wish to be here but cannot be. And I just think that it's so important to, you know, come out here and make sure our voices are heard and make sure that we also uplift each other. You know, all of the men who are here to support uterus havers and all of the uterus havers who are not women who are here, just like me. And making sure that we are all here and uplifting each other as we are right now. And I want them to know, the fuckers behind me, I want them to know that this is not over. They may have think that they won the battle, but they have not won the war. And I got 19 years of pent-up rage, and I got hundreds of years of intergenerational trauma whenever they took the life of my people. I want them to know that my anger will not stop here, and it won't stop until the day I fucking die. I just wanna let them know. Thank you.
Let's go, baby!
All right, everybody. Linda Steele is going to speak for us now. Linda Steele is the Libertarian candidate for Oklahoma Attorney General. You can vote for her on November 8th. She is the first female artillery woman in the state of Oklahoma, a mother. She is a nonprofit and is ready to reform the sad excuse for a justice system. Thank you.
Awesome, what you organized was amazing. Everybody who was brave enough to share their stories, their experiences, wanting and begging to be heard, which we have been doing for hundreds of years. And actually in 2016, when legislation passed, I quietly celebrated going onto that gun line because I wanted equality. I wasn't looking for special treatment. I wasn't looking for accolades. I wasn't looking to celebrate. And I made a mistake. I made a mistake. And what I'm here to say is the world is changing. These men, these old men, are becoming outdated. This year becomes the year my generation, the millennial generation, us young 30-year-olds, you know what we became? We became old enough to be politicians. We sure did. I hit my 31st birthday today, or not today, but this year, okay? About a couple of weeks before the ballot access had to close. And in order for me to be able to run for the highest seat of our justice system, which means all of these judges, I'm gonna be their boss. Okay? Those police departments, hey you, hey. I'm gonna be their boss. Those attorneys, those bar associations, I'm gonna be their boss.
Yeah, you are.
And I don't just say I, okay? I say I, as in all of us who quietly celebrated those little... I was coined by a trans soldier because of the acceptance we had for each other in that space for 5 years. And when I left it, I had respect. Still does not a patriarchal, old, rundown system ever promote us. I'm not saying I'm here because I became the highest person on the gun line. A promotion means you've been recognized as a person.
Yep.
Okay? I'm coming here as your E4 known from the E4 Mafia, when you're stuck in that for too long and you start to learn that system and you start to learn that game and you start to help those young privates that are coming up and you start to band together and you start to recognize it, and then you change, right? Then change happens. Change is like a switch. You can't see it coming. I first walked into a gun line where I was openly told, I don't want you here. I prefer to be somebody who's protecting women. How am I going to serve with you? What are we going to do if you have a period or if you're pregnant? Well, I served pregnant on the gun line till I was 7.5 months pregnant. Okay, that's what I did. I changed out my goddamn tampon because I needed to on the gun line, and it wasn't your business, so I didn't ask you permission. So you never knew because it's not your problem.
Yeah.
It's not your business. That is being an American. That is being equal. That is doing the same job. That is living in a community. That is uplifting each other. That is believing in each other. That has nothing to do with religion. That has nothing to do with how we see each other. I mean, it has everything to do with how we see each other. And that's what I'm standing on, for a platform for a justice reform. Okay, I don't need to have the highest education in order to sit amongst people who think that their ethics are above ours. I need to have the ethics of the community to say that when you're not here, when you're not here, when you're not here, I see you. And those judges no more, those attorneys, those police officers no more get excuses on why it's okay to continue to behave this way. Because it becomes excuses. And now our laws are making laws that excuse its behavior. This HELP task force, if you haven't looked into this HELP task force for the crisis centers for pregnancies, if we don't start doing sit-downs, if we don't start doing sit-ins where they're erecting these HELP task force, and let me tell you what, the Attorney General sits on that board. I need to be on that board.
Yeah, you
We
do.
need to deconstruct what they're trying to put money into, because where did that money come?
Yeah.
Where did that money come from?
Exactly.
There is too much that's not only not being told to us, but then being flaunted in front of us that they were going to do it anyways. We need to learn from the history that's been taught to us, from our Martin Luther Kings, from our Malcolm X, from all of our civil rights leaders that have come before and said, you sit, you make yourself known, you don't just march, you unite, you build a movement, you understand that right now, every day you wake up is a political, historical moment. It is a political, historical moment, and we need to treat it that way. We are not a flyover state. We are not something to be looked over. We aren't just these little Oklahoma women who, you know, just grew up on the farm and don't know how to even pass a bill. No, I have a GED education. I've been marching up here for 6 years. Not because I was educated, but because it was the right thing to do. And let me tell you who I did it for. I did it for the equality of fathers. Let me tell you something we've talked a lot about today, is what we are losing as people, as women, as a freedom, right? I walked into an all-male gun line where when I was having to integrate into an all-male battery, I'm dealing with combat soldiers. I'm dealing with men who have deployed 3 times together, men who have seen things together, men who are bonded together. And there were some younger men who were kind of excited. You know, this generation coming up, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of the parents that you guys had, or the obstinance you had to defy what you needed to, because I've been there. And to incite that strength to keep going is what makes us Americans, because freedom changes, freedom grows, freedom lives. Freedom isn't from 1910, what we're trying to stay with. That's not freedom. Freedom is educated.
That's right.
Freedom listens. So I walk into this all-male battery, and I'm thinking, how am I going to get through this? You know, I'm all by myself. There's nobody there. I was, you know, propositioned for quite a few times, and it was like, no, please leave me the fuck alone. And what I did that was clever was I decided to befriend all their wives. Because you can't do something to me if I'm friends with your wife.
That's right.
That's my ethics. That's what I need to stand on when I'm in front of these judges, right? Those types of ethics. So once we began to mutually understand that respect was given, and that games aren't played anymore. We're not the generation that's going to be silent. We're not going to be the generation that hopes for the promotion. We're not going to be the generation that looks down on the next woman. No, I'm going to be the generation that makes sure I tell your fucking wife.
Yeah.
Because I'm not scared. I don't have anything to hide. I'm here because I want to be an artilleryman. And if that's not what we're doing today, what do you think your wife's doing today?
Mm-hmm.
Be that woman. Be that woman, or man, or cis woman, or every person. Be that person.
Yes.
So I walk into the scum line with that mentality, and mind you, I'm 5'3", and I'm looking at these stacked dudes that have been lifting 200-pound rounds, you know. And it's not that I was intimidated; it's that I wasn't wrong.
Right.
It's that if you are willing to be wrong, that means I must be willing to be silent. And I don't live uncomfortably. I grew up in an uncomfortable childhood that I ran from, and I won't be an uncomfortable adult.
Woo!
Right? Right? That's a fight every day in every courtroom and in every battle because our laws are inherently racist.
Yep.
Because we have overlooked indigenous territorial rights, jurisdiction, criminal jurisdiction. Yeah, I might have a GED education, but we know how to read.
Yeah.
We know what a criminal jurisdiction is. And we know when it's being overused because our friends are fighting. And what we need to do now is fight with them. Right?
Yep.
We are here together, but we are recognizing trans. We are recognizing indigenous. We are recognizing racial discrimination. We are recognizing a patriarchy that is being torn down. I have 5 months to get this job, and I'm going against one Republican who's doing his atypical war on drugs, war on crime, tough on crime campaign, and I'm coming in tough on ethics.
Woo!
Let's come in tough on ethics. You want to sit here and make laws to criminalize us and then tell us, here we go, we're going to go hard at you now. Well, let's see your ethics behind this. Let's go tough on ethics because I'm not seeing any.
Yeah.
So let's vote for ethics before we vote for criminalization.
Thank you.
Let's vote for a
Yes.
filter before we vote for a system that wants to take us away.
Yep.
I am a libertarian candidate. I am the gold in the middle, right? I speak on no party side. I speak on the side of the people. And so for these weeks that we've been really ramping up our campaign, we are scheduling appointments with the organizers of the community, not the CEOs of the businesses or the directors of the departments. What about the solutions that are happening every day on the ground? Because when I tell you I advocated for fathers, what I did was I got them furniture. Because you know what a furniture can do for a dad?
Yep.
It's the difference between a judge
Big
saying
difference.
he is or isn't fit.
Yep.
But now if that man gives grace to his family that is divorcing and he leaves her the house and he leaves her the furniture and he shows that humility, he then goes to court and they tell him he's not enough. They do this to all of us.
Yep.
And when we come together as a community and we say, hey, I'm going to give you furniture, make sure it's before you go to court, we stop that judge. That's the power of the people. That's the Attorney General I'm going to be.
Yeah.
I want to organize with this community, and I will as part of my mission when I get this job, because that's what it is. It's a 9 to 5. It's not like the state reps. This is a 9 to 5, 4-year term. I can only serve 2 terms. I do not need to have anything other than the GED education that I do have, so let the media say it.
Yep.
And what I can do is I can go in and I can create the first ethics board. That
Yeah.
is made up of 501c3s and C4s and our community activists that don't have state or federal funding because they did it on their own.
It's a bad
They
time.
saw it in the community because they put in that drive, because they marched those hours because they had enough that they should be at the table. They
Yep.
should. The next thing I'm going to do, and this isn't in any order, is do you realize the history of the Attorney General's office have never recognized sovereign nations, period. They do not even have a division within the justice system, and yet it's their land that we said we would make sure we respected with their jurisdiction. We wrote it down, and then we ignored them.
Say it again.
Yes.
Ignored them. I'm not against police officers. I understand that they are given orders. My message to police officers is, what orders are you willing to carry out?
Yes.
What subpoenas Are you willing to say you will not give? Because what's going to happen next is now we're going to be subpoenaed to court to go prove to a judge whether or not we were having a miscarriage or
Yes.
an abortion.
Yep.
So the question is, are you going to come with this community and say, I can't ethically do that as somebody who protects and serves this community?
Thank you.
I hope you're there to make sure we're protected.
Yep.
I'm not calling anybody out. I had to stand on my own ethics in a world where nobody had my back. Because it's just who I am. Because I couldn't live in that world. Because I couldn't do that. That's an individual choice. That is also a right and a freedom to make.
Yes.
We don't recognize that. If we don't have that ethics at the highest level of our justice system, I can't damn an officer who's willing to just go pass out any subpoena that he's given. But the ethics start at the top. And I haven't seen an attorney leave this office who has the most education out of all of us use it to protect us yet.
Yep.
So we must use what we've learned together, what we've read, what we found out, what our founding fathers said was our freedom to always be educated for. And if we don't use it now, the next cycle of laws that are coming are always worse.
Yep.
My name is Linda Steele. I'm running for Attorney General. I'm a Libertarian candidate. You can vote on a straight Democratic ticket. You can vote on a straight Republican ticket and still check my box, and it will not affect your ballot for any of your other candidates. So I'm not here to fight. I'm very new to politician world. I'm a nonprofit person. I like things like technology. I like things like advancing the system so we as people own the rights to our discoveries. Yes, attorneys, I'm coming for those overpriced billable hours. Because I live in the real world and we can't even afford justice once the ethics come.
Thank you.
There's so many issues in front of us, but we're also not blind. We are not. And now we need to be fearless.
Yep.
And that we have always been. But when you are fearless together, you make change. Okay, so you guys are amazing. I'm going to be at every single one of these, and I'm doing my own, okay? So the office, if you guys want to know, that I'm going for right across the street, June 30th, I had an opportunity to be invited to the Greenwood District, Black Wall Street, yes, a couple of weeks ago, and I had some meetings with the leaders up there. Pamela Smith, who was violated while she was incarcerated. She was sexually violated with a salt and pepper shaker. She's been fighting for justice for 26 years. Please go hear her story, okay? She, has a huge initiative to, what about the 7,000 rape kits? What about those? That still haven't been tested. So there's so many issues within our justice system, and I'm not here to say I know all the answers to how to fix it all. I know we have the answers to fix it all, and I know we want a voice, and I know that there's space in that office for us. So June 30th, we're going to do a unity march. We've invited multiple different tribes to come out. We want to be received onto, July. Yeah. July. Next year, we already won.
Yeah.
No, but, June, July. July 30th. We're going to have a march. We are inviting Greenwood down from Tulsa to see our east side.
Yeah.
To see our east side. Because here's what I saw in Greenwood. I saw a community that said, you will not erase my history. You will not forget my history. Come tour my history. I want you to know. How are you going to work for me? I want to educate my community, right? I saw buildings. I saw businesses. I saw a community that was fighting to maintain its economic standing, but know where it's come from. And I want them to come look at our east side that doesn't even have a grocery store.
Yep.
Doesn't even have a gas station. The entrepreneurs that are in that community are so vast. There's so many small businesses down there, but they can't afford the space to grow because these people want to jack up the prices and call it capitalism. Okay, we have major projects going on within my circle of people. So we have to go. But please come out June 30th, 7 p.m.
Yeah.
July. Thank you, Linda. Okay, so let's see. We have a couple more speakers.
The guy I'm going to invite is a straight, cis, white, middle-aged, fat guy who's a Christian pastor. There would be some concerns. I would have some concerns. So I thank you for having the grace to allow me to be with you and to stand with you. I have personal reasons to be here as a father of two beautiful young women who have been told by their country that they don't have control over their own bodies, that their lives are not worth as much as any man, and that they don't have the self-determination of their own course in life and of their own reproduction. I also am here for them because they probably would not exist if the men in this building had their way. Because the laws that they push and that they have passed probably would have made it so that their mother could have never had kids, because she couldn't have gotten the health care that she needed. I'm also here as a priest. I'm here as a priest because I am mad. And for those of you who are mad at the Christian church, I applaud you and I say you should be. I am righteously angry at what has been made of my faith, over 1,700 years at least. But what they are using, a false, perverted, deranged version of a message that is supposed to be of equality, of justice, and yes, of feminism. How they are using it to trample my daughter's rights and the rights of 51% of our population. That is disgusting, and we should be angry at it and pushing back at it.
Yes.
I'm also here as a priest because I've been a chaplain and a pastor to young women who have survived suicide attempts because they didn't feel like they could continue or carry through a pregnancy. I've been a pastor to young women who were kicked out of their families, their socially conservative Southern Baptist families, because they did not have an abortion. Because they wanted them to have an abortion that they didn't want, so that they didn't shame the church and shame their family. I've been the pastor to young women who were traumatized because they did have an abortion that their socially conservative, evangelical, Christian pastor told them they needed to have so that they didn't shame the church.
People in power will just find another way to get a safe abortion.
Absolutely. They have the money to do it.
Screwing up this topic.
And the men in this building, and some women, claim to be pro-life when they don't want my daughters to exist. They claim to be pro-life when they allow people to starve on the streets. They claim to be pro-life when they know that what they are doing is going to not decrease but increase the number of abortions in this country and make them unsafe. The countries in our world that have the strictest anti-abortion laws have the highest rates of teen pregnancy and of abortion of any nations. And we are becoming a part of that group. But who is our opposition really? We can, Kevin's did, certain legislators, we can look to them, they're the obvious example. But that's not really our opposition if we're fighting for justice and equality. Martin Luther King said when looking at who the opposition was to equality, it wasn't the KKK, it wasn't the Aryan Brotherhood or any other white supremacist group. The greatest opposition to equality, he said, was the apathetic, cowardly, quiet white church. And it still is today. It is still an enemy by its apathy. It is an enemy by its silence. Silence is complicity. If you're a Christian and you're not demanding that your pastor tell you why they're not here today, you need to. You need to demand to know why they're not standing up for your rights, because that is the original message of the faith.
Yes.
A faith that originally said, our faith that originally said, life begins at the first breath. We abandoned that so that powerful men could become more powerful by controlling women's bodies.
Yes.
Hundreds and hundreds of years ago. I am here as a priest to take on the apathetic, white, cowardly church.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, all my fellow clergy out there, there's hundreds and hundreds of clergy in this state who claim to be supportive, who claim to be affirmative, who claim to stand for justice. Where are they?
Exactly.
They are not here. They are hiding behind the walls of the church. They are not following the message of love and compassion and justice that they have bound themselves to. They are betraying the very people they are supposed to stand by and stand for. Where are they? I'd also like to speak to men, straight, white, Christian men in general. We cannot call ourselves men of integrity if we do not support women's autonomy over their own bodies. Because we demand it for ourselves.
Yep.
And hypocrisy is not a good virtue. But it runs rampant in this building and across our state and across our country. We cannot be good Christians or Buddhists or Hindus or atheists. We can't be good people in general if we sit by while our sisters are marginalized, while our LGBTQ plus brothers and sisters are marginalized and oppressed. We cannot be good people of faith or of no faith while we watch the voting rights that Martin Luther King Jr. and others bled and some died for
Yes.
be rolled back by the men in this building.
Yes.
We cannot be good men, we cannot be good people of faith if we sit silently by without acknowledging that we're standing on land that isn't rightfully ours.
Yep.
And that has been stolen and raped for the sake of profit. We cannot be good men if we don't at least recognize that. We cannot claim integrity if we do not stand by people of color and their voting rights and by our indigenous brothers and sisters. To all of my brothers of privilege out there, it is time to step up. It is time to stop being cowards about supporting social justice. For all my fellow clergy out there who say they support justice, get off your ass. Get out of the walls of the church and put your feet where your mouth is and start doing something to enact what you preach every damn Sunday.
Amen.
But those clergy don't want me to say these things, and I'm also a veteran. My brothers and sisters don't want me to say things like this. We're supposed to be quiet and say the right things and stand by and say, God bless America. God does not bless this.
No, he doesn't.
You want to know what God says about this if you're a Christian? Read Matthew 25. And the answer is, God damn this.
Yep.
Because it's unjust. And God always stands on the side of the just. He always stands on the side of those who are being oppressed and marginalized. We are called to stand with them. But whether my fellow white, cisgendered, straight males get off their ass or not, I have a message for all the ladies out here. You outnumber us.
Yes, we do.
You outnumber us. And if you stand with your indigenous sisters and brothers, if you stand with the LGBTQ community, if you stand with people of color, if you stand with the poor, you damn sure outnumber us. And you have the power to completely reshape this state and this society, to make it look like justice. That is what we are called to do. And I pray every day that we will do it, but prayer doesn't mean a damn thing if we don't get off our ass.
Yes.
Do something about it. So stand together. Stand together and act. We need a passive resistance movement that has not been seen in this country since Martin Luther King Jr. was shot. We need a disruptive, powerful but peaceful movement that shakes the apathy and the cowardice that is keeping us from achieving justice. I stand by you. I thank you again for allowing me to be here and to speak. It is an honor for me and for our congregation, for our church. And to you, in closing, I say, do not give up. Never give up. Never give up, and continue to fight. And I'm honored to be able to fight with you.
Thank you, Father.